This piece of the interior wall from this house I found down the street. There's another tree even down the street that's been blown over. The storm damage here in Leawood. You're looking at me through what was once the roof of Champs Blues and Jazz Bar at 39th and Jackson in Kansas City, Missouri. And to give you another example of just how icy it is out here, this is a flashlight. You push it on that, look at that. That's like a skating rink out here. That's a good 15, 20 feet away from where we're standing. You know, one of the best parts about this trip is getting to talk to these veterans. I'm going to be sitting next to Larry the entire way to watch. He's going to be tired of listening to me after about 10 minutes, I think. Larry, you're a World War II veteran. Imagine running at this pace for 50 miles every day for 60 days. That sounds exhausting. We are in section 419, row ZZ of Kauffman Stadium. It was a climb to get up here, but boy, the view is certainly worth it. Taking a look out on the field, sometimes it can be very difficult even just to start your car on a very, very cold day like today. But once you get the car started, it's usually a good idea to be prepared in case something unthinkable happens. As emergency crews now are leaving, in come the construction crews. Now, this tornado just coming through a few hours ago. The good news, all three people who lived inside this home able to make it out safely, no injuries reported. The bad news is this fire has continued to burn for more than 2 hours. EMS still on the scene, still pulling people out of that bus too. We've seen several kids loaded into ambulances. Really the excitement you can feel throughout this crowd. Everybody is very excited to be here right now. The no wake sign and the few feet of standing water might throw you off, but this is actually a parking lot in Kansas City's East Bottoms. This is the surface at Centennial Park right now. It's those chunks of rubber. It means it'll likely change the way some manufacturers actually produce their vehicles and their headlights. Watch it closely. It's another dead heat race in the state of Kansas. From brewery all the way to bottle, it's hard to find a beer more sought after in Kansas City than Boulevard's Chocolate Ale. People across Kansas City are concerned about those high water bills, but the city is worried about what's underneath this manhole cover. As we continue on down the road here on the plaza, almost every store has a sale in the sign. Here's one, the official shop of Aspen. This one, sale 25% off. I mean, it is very thick, very heavy, very wet snow. Great snowball snow, but also snow that gets really slushy as we go out on the roadways. This is a look at I-29 right now.
Come on in.
For 57 years,
You want to fill it?
Bill Stephen has sat here
Doing our job.
inside Stephen's service station.
There's what we looked like. So they called me and wanted to know if I wanted to run it. I said, okay, and here I come.
It's one of the last full-service gas stations in the area.
Well, we're a dying breed.
Bill's son, Craig, runs the station and the repair shop now. He took over 18 years ago.
We ain't had him long.
But really, there's no station without Bill.
I'm staying. He didn't have the choice. I did.
I tried to fire him once. He told me no.
They both know what full service means.
Well, you come in, we're going to check the air and pressure, your tires, check all your fluids, wash your windows, fill your tank, scrutiny on gas.
It's a piece of Americana all but gone. And soon...
And it's going to be different.
It'll be gone here, too.
It's time. That's all I can say.
After almost 6 decades in Bonner Springs, Stephen's Service is closing up shop, unable to compete with the big chain convenience stores.
All good things come to an end sooner or later. Industry's changing. These type places just don't make it.
Miss all the people that come in every day. That would be the biggest thing. You're just going to miss the people because we know them all personally for years.
After 57 years,
Well, he's been a friend for years.
Bill knows
Just another friend.
a lot of people.
This is my World War II friend.
They're not just customers, they're friends.
Yeah, ain't you?
Hi, Helen.
Friends that keep coming back time and time again for a service you just can't find anywhere. Helen's car is the grand finale
My last full service customer.
to this slice of nostalgia.
You witnessed an end of an era right there. That is it. You got it. And I'm telling my kids the stories. I'll tell them it was Helen's car that I did last.
As Craig and Bill close the door for one of the last times, they know it's time to say goodbye.
And that's a wrap.
In Bonner Springs, Matt Evans,
Cut!
KMBC 9 News. this sound, once a sign of times gone by.
Everybody was running from vinyl. Everybody was running towards the CD.
But now these hisses and pops have spun back into homes across the country.
Vinyl is hot, hotter than a coffee pot.
And this Cajun living in Kansas is a big reason behind the resurgence.
I trusted my ear. I knew vinyl would never die.
But in 1984, Chad Kassem almost did.
If I hadn't have got sober, I might not be alive.
Barely 21 in Lafayette, Louisiana.
The bars don't close, so I didn't know when to go home. You know, I couldn't handle it.
Kassem hit rock bottom, facing 16 felony charges for drugs and alcohol.
A judge found a halfway house for me in Salina, Kansas. Either jail or Kansas.
The towering grain bins and farmland as far as the eye could see.
I'm like, well, what about California? Like, no, you're going to Kansas.
A foreign sight.
I needed to get away. I needed it to be just the way it was. I needed it to be far away.
Kassem found solace in pressed plastic.
I was just buying vinyl anywhere I could and started collecting it.
Drawn to the sound only a vinyl record can create.
When you're ready for the real thing and you really want to feel it, you put on an LP.
3 decades later, he's surrounded by it.
Vinyl, vinyl, vinyl.
Manufactures it, ships it.
Japan, United Kingdom.
Everywhere.
Brooklyn. That's a foreign country.
And is still in love with the music.
Jody McQueen, Sidney Bechet, Bombadil. Supposed to be real good, Bombadil, remember that.
His company, Acoustic Sounds, is now one of the few pressing plants churning out the black gold that is storming back into the music world.
Pretty much everything on this row we pressed.
All 100 employees, all 100,000 square feet of vinyl.
So this is just all over stock.
Are right in the middle of Kansas.
When I stop and think about it, it's like kind of blows me away.
About as far away from the big record labels as you can get.
They say, why Salina? And you know what I say? Why not?
And the soundtrack in Salina will only get louder. Vinyl record sales are expected to eclipse $1 billion this year alone.
Vinyl will not die. I can't see a day that it dies.
Kassem continues to keep vinyl alive in Salina, the place that kept him alive, too.
I appreciate this place for what it is, and it's saved my life.
Let me explain what we got here.
What Mike Corrigan has here is a sad horn. It has what musicians call cancer for brass, red rock.
You want it to not do that. But if it gets bad enough, you get little pinholes. So every time she would play her trombone, the air was leaking out of these little pinholes.
It's usually a terminal diagnosis, but this trombone is worth fighting to keep.
It's made me feel better when I was like sad when I played it.
Which is why it's here.
Get this bad boy cleaned up.
The horn doctors inside this old warehouse near 18th and Vine
It's got some pretty bad red rot.
have taken on the project because of a musician's understanding.
The connection between a musician and their equipment that they play at their instrument, it's like the connection between life partners. They play on it, they perform on it, they pour their soul through it.
A full restoration takes a lot of cutting, sanding, twisting, and polishing.
We're keeping the bread and butter of the horn, the bell and the gooseneck.
The bread and butter of this company is crafting horns from scratch. But a little fine-tuning to an old horn can sometimes make it better than new.
I think it'll probably be disbelief at first. I'm kind of excited to see it. She may not understand right away. One of your musicians in this band had a sad horn.
Now this professional level trombone is back in the hands.
And this is your restored trombone. That is your baby.
Oh.
Of a Shawnee Mission South sophomore.
I was like, oh my gosh, like that. I don't know. I don't know what to think.
At a loss for words, Laura Legg is shocked this is the same trombone she learned how to play in 5th grade.
If I didn't get to keep this, I think I would have cried a lot, because when I was upset, sometimes I would play it and I'd feel better, and I just put so many hours into it.
And she's like, it's my baby, and she calls it her baby.
It's a bond that couldn't be broken.
This is your horn, this is your baby.
And this is 1,000% different.
Which is the best kind of music to your ears. In Overland Park, Matt Evans, KMBC 9 News.
All right.